What up guys, Roman here, Austin Trainings. We're gonna make a playlist. We're gonna make a playlist about the 7 fundamentals of shooting, because the 7 fundamentals of shooting are key to becoming a really good shooter, but they also apply to anything that's classified as a gun. So whether it's handgun, rifle, shotgun, doesn't matter. If it's classified as a gun, you got 7 fundamentals that you need to learn. So those 7 fundamentals are your stance, your grip, your sight alignment, your trigger press, your sight picture, your breathing, and your follow through. So we're not going to do all in one video. We'll chop it up so you can watch it at your leisure. Today we're going to focus on number 1, and that's stance. People get in the weeds about stance, but you don't need to. It's really simple. I think people get in the weeds for various reasons, but one of the reasons is Jack Weaver, who was a deputy sheriff. He participated in a shooting competition, and his stance when he was in that competition was kind of like this. Okay? Now, forgive me if I'm not doing it exactly correct. I don't train with this stance. But it was something along the lines of this, and he was doing this because he was nursing a shoulder injury, so he couldn't get both of his shoulders up. But regardless, in the competition, he smoked it. He smoked it so bad that everybody was like, oh yeah, we doing that. So police started training with the Weaver stance. But come to find out, when the police actually got engaged in a threat, they would square their hips towards the threat and engage the threat that way, not pointing their hips away from what's going on. So what that means is, naturally, when you're fighting for your life or you're fighting to save whoever, family, friend, whatever the case is, you're going to square your hips up. So that's what we want to do. We want it to be natural though. We don't want to stand with our feet side by side. I mean, you can, but it depends on what you're doing. So if I'm shooting a 22 with no recoil and I'm only shooting one shot, just pop. Okay, next, what are we doing? But if you're actually shooting a substantial firearm, then you're going to want to take one foot. So I'm right-handed, so I'm going to take my right foot and just slide it back some. I'm not getting in some super long stance like I'm about to do, you know, a high kick or something. Just bring it back slightly. I'm still comfortable. My left leg is what's in front, so I'm going to over exaggerate this here so you can see it on camera. I'm going to bend that front knee. Whatever knee is in front, you just want to bend it. So I'm not bending it that much, I'm just bending it slightly. And what I'm doing is I'm sinking straight down. I'm sinking straight down into this grass, okay? This is comfortable for me. I'm on the balls of my feet, more so. I'm not on my heels hardly at all. It's more like, if these are the balls of my feet, I'm kind of right here and here. This is my heel. I'm kind of right in this area. So it's nice and comfortable, and I'm just prepared and I'm engaged, I'm ready. So if I'm shooting, let's say a 9mm, right? Or a rifle. If I'm just shooting one shot, or I'm just kind of plinking, having fun, I might be upright. If I'm shooting multiple shots and I'm doing whatever, I'm going to lean forward a little bit. It's called getting into the gun. I'm just becoming more engaged, because if I shoot, you know, several rounds, what that's going to do is, if I'm standing straight up, boom, 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 it's going to knock me off balance. So with my front knee being bent and me hinging, I'm not like this. I'm not bent over. You don't want to get shot like this. It's a wrap if you do. You want to think about your shoulder and your hip and just hinge slightly forward. I'm still up. I can still see what's going on. I'm not looking down at the ground, and I'm engaged. Now, also in this stance, I have more maneuverability. So I can turn all the way around or all the way around this way. If I stay on my feet side by side, get about right to there, get about right to there, okay? So, what this also progresses into is, this is my stance. Let's say I shoot and I take a step. I'm in my stance again. My right foot is forward, but now my right knee is bent. If I take another step forward, I'm in my stance again. What this will eventually morph into is when you start shooting and walking. And it's very challenging at first, but you will start to be in that stance as you're moving. I trained a guy and he was tearing it up standing still as soon as I started introducing moving and shooting. He was like, oh shit. So you want to have that stance, have it be natural, and then when you press the gun out, you want to press the gun out and find your sights. You don't want to weaken your stance, so to speak. Like you did all this work, everything looks nice and good, and then when you present the gun, you do this. You don't want to come down to your gun. You don't want to have to move your head because this is throwing off your stance. You want to keep everything level and just bring the gun straight out. Last thing, in real life, people move. People don't stand still. So if I'm just standing straight up, because that's how I've been doing it my whole life at a flat range with air conditioning and no stress, then when I have to move, if I'm shooting this way, what I have to do is I have to bend my knees to run. If you're already in your stance, you don't have to get ready to move. You can just move. When you're in a self-defense scenario or whatever, your time is valuable. You already don't have a lot. When there's a situation going down, you got a certain amount of time, you got a certain window, and you want to have as much of that time for you to be able to problem solve and, you know, save your life as possible. So you just always want to be ready and practice being engaged, even if you're standing in a range booth where you don't have a lot of movement. You don't have to stand there static. You can move. You got a little bit of space, like kind of what I'm working with for this camera right here. You got a little bit of space. You can move around. You can practice switching your feet. And you're not going to hurt anybody. You're not going to make anybody feel weird. You can just practice your stance and practice being engaged, getting into the gun, so to speak, as you train. So that stance, it's really simple. It's number one. Next one's gonna be grip. So if you're watching this, you know, way later after we've already done 7 videos, then follow this playlist, and I say watch all of these at least twice so it'll sink in. Like, subscribe, comment, share. I'm giving you the whole game. Next time.